Disasters in the U.S. often hit minority groups the hardest. We all remember Hurricane Katrina. Well, it slammed New Orleans back in 2005, disproportionately affecting the city's black residents.
It did, and in our state, it's the massive wildfires that are the biggest concern. In tonight's cover story, ABC 10's lead race and culture reporter Kandace Redd shows us how wildfires have an unequal impact on minority communities.
Our people are so resilient. We're survivors.
Communities of color were disproportionately represented.
A 2018 study shows mostly Black, Hispanic, or Native American communities experience greater vulnerability to wildfires compared with primarily white communities in the U.S.
And that has to do with historic factors, structural and institutional racism that's part of our country.
Researchers at the University of Washington and the Nature Conservancy looked at more than 70,000 communities across the nation.
Of all those communities, 29 million people were at moderate to high risk for wildfire.
Based on the data, the majority of people at risk were white and not poor, but about 12 million others were considered more vulnerable to wildfires based on socioeconomic factors, including minorities, people with disabilities, and people living in poverty. For them, an extreme fire event could be hard to bounce back.
How much money do they have? Do they have access to information? What sort of transportation and housing assets do they have?
Researchers also found Native Americans are 6 times more likely than others to live in areas most prone to wildfires.
Forest removal, lack of resources, and that history, I think, is one of the biggest concerns for me.
Albert Titman serves Indigenous people in Northern California through Native Dads Network. It's a nonprofit in Sacramento.
The mission is to provide culturally rich services to Native American fathers and to promote a well, healthy family guided by culture and tradition.
California is home to more Native people than any other state. There are more than 100 federally recognized tribes in California and several other tribal communities petitioning for federal recognition. Historically, wildfires have threatened Indigenous people and land.
Our people are grossly impacted as a result of being placed in these rural and frontier communities. We are organizing a donation drive, and we've done that every year. We collect goods for fire relief, especially for folks who've been displaced. So then we would drive out to these locations where we know tribal people are in temporary shelters, and we would deliver these goods.
These disparities that we see now are likely just going to get bigger and bigger with climate change. So we need to create these systems where we're both feeding the health of the ecosystem and feeding the wealth of the community.